Welcome to the setup tutorial for Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga. This setup video will fully entail everything you need to install in order to run this game at the highest level. It's highly recommended that you do most of the setup now so you don't have to worry about anything later. If at any point you have any troubleshooting issues, we encourage you to use the technical help channel in the TCS Discord to ask any additional questions you may have. Let's begin. For step 1, you need to purchase and download the game. The most common way of obtaining the game is through Steam, where you can purchase it for $20 and it often goes on sale for $5. You can also purchase the game from a Steam key site for even cheaper if this is something you know how to do. Once you purchase the game, download it on Steam. Once the game is downloaded, it is important that you simply open the game at least one time through Steam, as this is needed to initialize various things in the game. The game will likely behave strange when doing this, as none of your settings such as resolution and refresh rate have been initialized, but this is fine since once the game opens, you can immediately Alt-Tab back out and close the game. The first step is now complete. Step 2 is obtaining the GOG Exe file. GOG stands for Good Old Games, which is another platform you can buy the game on. The exe file that you get for Lego Star Wars from there is slightly different under the hood than the one on Steam, and that's the one you actually want, as it's needed in order for things such as Brickbench, our practice tool, and the load remover to work properly. There will be a link in the description to a download link in a Google Drive. You can also optionally download the GOG from this link in the resources channel in the speedrunning Discord. It may give you a little warning when you try to download it, just click continue to download. Once you have this downloaded, go back to your Steam client and select Lego Star Wars in the game library, click this gear that says manage, then hit properties. It will open a new window where you go to installed files and then hit browse here. This will open your game files. We highly recommend you pin this folder to your sidebar, as you'll be coming back here a few times over the next few steps. For now, locate this Lego Star Wars Saga.exe file, right click and delete it, and then place the GOG Exe you downloaded into the folder. Step 2 is now complete. Step 3 of the setup is to extract your game files. This unpacks the game files from these .dat files, but all you need to know is that this is needed for certain tools to work correctly, such as Brickbench, our practice tool. In the description, there is a link to download QuickBMS. Click the link and it will take you to this website. Click this link at the top that says QuickBMS Generic Files Extractor and Reimporter 0.12 to download that, and then scroll all the way down to TT Games and download this as well. From there, go to your downloads folder and right-click the zipped QuickBMS folder and extract it. Inside this folder there are a few files, but you want to open the one called QuickBMS, not to be confused with the one that says 4GB after it. Just open the normal QuickBMS file. If the program doesn't want to open, you may need to right-click and run as administrator. From there, it will open a folder asking you to select something at the top each time. The first thing it'll ask is select BMS script. Here, you must select the ttgames.bms script you downloaded earlier and hit OK. From there, it will ask for input archive/files. For this part, you need to go back to your Lego Star Wars game files, which should be pinned to your sidebar still. Click back into this folder, and once in this folder, click and select the 7.dat files, one for each episode, and then the game.dat file. Make sure not to forget the game.dat file. You can select these by holding the Control key, which allows you to individually click on each one without deselecting the others. Once all 7 have been selected, hit open and it will finally tell you to select an output folder, which should just be the same folder that the game files are already in, so just hit save again. From there, the program will go to work extracting your files, and this will take a few minutes. There's a chance during this process that it will tell you an identical file was found. If this happens, type the letter A into the prompt and hit enter. It is finished when this line, press enter to close the window, appears, and you can now close this window. If you look at your game files now, you can see all of these folders of the extracted game files. The final part now is to delete the 7.dat files from the folder, once again making sure not to forget the game.dat file. Once you've deleted these files, step 3 is complete. Step 4 is setting up your monitor in in-game settings. It is faster to keep your monitor at the same refresh rate the game is, so if you usually use your monitor at 144 Hz or some other option that isn't 60, you will need to lower it back down to 60. To change it, press the Windows button to open your search bar and type in Advanced Display, open your Advanced Display settings, select the monitor you will be playing TCS on, and change the refresh rate to 60. It does not matter what the refresh rate on any other monitors you have are. Next, open the game, and there are a few in-game settings you'll want to change once you reach the title screen. First, enter the video settings option and set the resolution to match the resolution of your monitor. For the vast majority of people, this is just going to be 1920 by 1080, but if you have a rarer monitor, just change it to match the resolution of your monitor. Make sure your refresh rate is at 60 Hz, aspect ratio is at 16 by 9, regardless of the aspect ratio of your monitor, it should always be 16 by 9 in game, and enhanced graphics are turned off. From there, go into the effects settings and match the options here, off, on, and on. Finally, you're going to do a quick test to make sure you properly set up your resolution and refresh rate. Simply press Alt and Tab to change the window and observe how long this process takes. If it happens instantly, like you can see in this video here, you're good to go. If there's a massive lag spike like in this video, you may need to keep tweaking around with your game and computer's resolution and refresh rate till you can get this instant result. Once again, feel free to ask questions in the technical help channel in the Discord if you're still struggling with this part. Step 5 is setting up Brickbench, which is a speedrun practice software that offers a wide variety of tools to massively improve your practice efficiency, including being able to load instantly into any map, reload maps, teleport your players, and more. In the description will be a link to download Brickbench. There's a chance the version number you download is different than the one in this video, but everything should still functionally be the same. Once you download the program here, extract the zipped folder and open the Brickbench application. Your firewall may attempt to stop you here, just click to run the program anyways. Once the program opens, you have a few options here. Click the Open Hook button, followed by the Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga GOG option. This hooks Brickbench into your game, which allows it to do all the features like loading maps. If your game isn't open, it won't hook, so make sure to open the game prior to hooking into Brickbench. Once it hooks in, go to the Tools tab in the top left and check Runtime Hook if it isn't checked already. This will add the Hook tab on the right, which allows you to access features you want. From there, go back into TCS, load into a new game and enter the Cantina, then come back to Brickbench. In the Runtime Hook tab, there are a few options to take note of. First is Auto Load Maps from Current Hooked Game under Settings. If you check this box, the workspace in the middle will automatically display the map that you are currently in and automatically update as you change maps. As you can see here, we are currently in the Cantina. You can move around with WASD and move the camera by holding right click while moving the mouse. The blue and green squares are your first and second players respectively. Now, we can go into this drop-down menu and select a level. The level names are going to be a bit confusing at first, but in most cases, the order of the levels for each level are in the same order of the rooms. There are a few exceptions to this rule, and you will get used to them as you continue using the software. In addition, the room that corresponds with each letter can be found in the tutorial descriptions. For testing purposes, let's load into Gungan B, which is the second room of Invasion of Naboo. If you click Load Map and go back into your game, you can see that it loads directly at the start of the second room. If at any point you want to restart the room, you can click Load Map again and it will take you back to the start. However, you may notice in this case, it kept our progress even though we reloaded the room. By checking the Reset Map Unload and Reset Door Unload checkboxes under the Map Options tab, this will cause the room to fully reload itself back to as if you had never played it before, allowing you to practice it over and over again. To avoid having to constantly tab out of TCS, go ahead and check Enable Global Hotkeys. By enabling this option, certain keys allow you to globally reload the room even while you're in the game. Each hotkey has a default value, but that can be changed by going to the top left, clicking File, then Settings, and then down to Key Bindings. These hotkeys can be used for various things such as reloading a room, teleporting player 1 or player 2 to where you are in the map in Brickbench, or speeding up the game. There are a few nuances of Brickbench that we'll explain. Firstly, when selecting a level to practice, some levels may not match the name of the level in the game as it's pulling the level name directly from the game files. The episodes are ordered 1 to 6, but a few levels may be swapped, so use their names for context. Pod Race has 2 levels in the game files that show up here. If you want to load Pod Race, select Pod Sprint instead of Pod Race, as Pod Race will load the extra level original Pod Race, whereas Pod Sprint will load the one done in the run. This is a similar case with A New Hope in Blockade Runner, where A New Hope loads the extra level, while Blockade Runner loads secret plans. Other smaller functions, such as giving a player a helmet or giving player ghost hearts, can be done here. It's worth noting that loading a few rooms may have different character spawns compared to a run. For some rooms, it may be recommended to load the previous room and then enter into the desired room for more optimal practice. You can continue to explore the program, but for now, step 5 is complete. For step 6, you're going to set up command line resets. For context, at the end of each episode in the run, an additional finished story cutscene plays. However, the game saves its progress before these cutscenes play. Because of this, it's faster to close and reopen the game to skip watching these cutscenes compared to just watching this. While you could just manually close and reopen the game, you can speed up this process by using the command prompt to instantly force close and reopen the game by simply typing restart into this console. First, go into the description of the video and locate command line reset script and click the link. This will take you to a drive link with a file attached called restart.bat. Download this file, and once it's downloaded, open it in Notepad by right-clicking it and hitting Open with Notepad or Edit with Notepad. What you are now looking for is to make sure that the file path in this file matches the file path to where your Lego Star Wars EXE is located. If you downloaded the game through Steam and didn't move anything, this should already be correct, but you may need to change the drive letter if you installed it on a secondary drive, which you can see by clicking on the Lego Star Wars Saga folder you pinned to your sidebar earlier and looking at the file path in the File Explorer. However, if you did move your game files somewhere else, you may need to manually change the file path here. Assuming this is correct, open File Explorer and navigate to this PC, Local Disk, Windows, and then System32. You may need to open this as administrator. Do not touch anything in this folder. Simply take the restart.bat file and drag and drop it into the System32 folder. Now that the restart.bat file is in the System32 folder, you should be good to go. Go to your Windows search bar and type in CMD. It should autofill for command prompt, click on it and open it. You'll need to change the directory to your Lego Star Wars folder. The following text displayed on screen is what you need to type to do this. This is also in the description if you want to copy and paste it. Once again, if you have moved your game files, you may need to tweak this command a bit. Once you paste this in and press enter, you will see that it changes the directory. It is recommended you save this long line of text in a notepad file or something similar for quick access in the future, since every time you open command prompt, you'll need to do this. Now, if everything worked properly, type restart and then hit enter. It should close and immediately reopen the game. As long as this works, that's all you'll need to worry about for now. We'll go into the actual use of this in a run later in the actual tutorial. For step 7, you'll set up CRU, short for Custom Resolution Utility, to gain all possible in-game refresh rates needed for running the game. However, it's worth noting as a new runner that this is optional, and we're going to check our in-game video settings first to see if this is necessary. In the video settings tab, there's a refresh rate option that if you scroll through should have a few options. However, the options displayed here are dependent on what type of monitor and monitor cable you're using. The 3 options you need to do all the tricks in the game are 60, 50, and 40. However, as a beginner, the only options you really need are 60 and 50. It's worth noting that there is a special case in Invasion of Naboo that uses 48 Hz, but that will be covered in the levels tutorial. If you have 60 and 50, you can skip this step for now, as 40 is only needed for very advanced strats. However, if later on you want to get the 40 Hz option, or you currently do not have the 50 Hz option, then we are going to set up CRU. In the description of the video, click on the CRU link that will take you to this website. Click the download link on the left, extract the folder and open the CRU application. Once in the program, click on the top bar and select the monitor you play TCS on. Then, click the Add button under Detailed Resolutions, set the refresh rate to whatever option you want in game, so this could be 50 or 40 depending on what you need, and press OK. After making these changes, you must either restart your PC or just run the restart application in the CRU download folder that will reset your graphics drivers. After doing this, when you reopen TCS, you should have all the options needed for in-game refresh rate options. When you switch to a different refresh rate, there are 2 things to note. 1, if you're playing on either 50 or 40 Hz, whenever you alt-tab out of the game, it will be extremely slow and you will get a black screen for a few seconds. This is completely normal and will go back to instant alt-tabs once you're back on 60 Hz again. And 2, there's a small chance that when switching to a refresh rate added with CRU, your monitor will get stuck on a black screen and never display the game. This only happens on very few monitors, but if it does happen to you, the only known fix is to play the game off the OBS preview on the second monitor. Luckily, this usually only happens with 40 Hz, and there's only one level in the entire game where you play on 40 Hz, so it's not the end of the world if you have this issue. CRU is the most finicky part of the setup, so it's highly recommended to ask for help in the Discord if it's giving you trouble, and once again, if you already have the 60 and 50 Hz options, you can skip this step entirely for now. For step 8, you'll set up using the Lawnmower program to prevent the game from crashing. In a few levels in the game, there's this flowy looking grass. It has no collision and does nothing to affect gameplay, but there's a chance that whenever it's loaded, a math error can occur and the game will crash. Depending on your PC specs, this can happen very frequently. In order to balance this crash discrepancy out, we've allowed the use of a piece of software called Lawnmower, which is a patch that removes these dynamic grass files from your game so it won't crash anymore. In the description, there'll be a download link for Lawnmower. Go to the Google Drive and download the .bat file. Open the file and it will ask you to type a number. Type the number 1 and press enter. From there, it will ask you to send your TCS file location. Go back to your TCS game files folder you pinned to your sidebar, go to the top and right-click the file path, click copy address as text and paste it into the Lawnmower console and press enter. If everything worked, it will remove 5 grass files, and if you refresh your game files folder, you'll know it worked because there is now a folder with all the bad grass files. And they're still here if for whatever reason you need to access them in the future. For the context of speedrunning, this won't be needed. Step 9 is obtaining a save file for practice. Assuming you do not already have a save file, you can download a save file by navigating to the speedrun leaderboard for Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga and go to the Resources tab. This is also linked in the description. Scroll down to Saves and click any % practice. Download the zip file and extract it. Locate your saved games folder by typing run in the Windows search bar and then %appdata% and press enter. Click appdata up top to go back one folder, click local and then LucasArts. In this folder, you should see a folder for TCS. If you don't, double check to make sure your file path is appdata to local and not appdata to roaming. In this folder is a folder called saved games, but if this folder is not there, this means that you have never made a save file before, so just make a folder called saved games, all one word. From there, you can drag the save file in. The number in the name of the save file will correspond to the in-game save slot +1. As an example, if you name the file savegame3, it will show up as slot 4 in-game. Once the file is in, you can restart your game and load it up, and you'll now have a file with every level unlocked and all the red bricks you need for any %, which is very useful for practice. Step 10 is setting up LiveSplit and getting the any % in practice splits. This specific tutorial is not going to cover how to customize your LiveSplit layout, but rather how to set it up to run TCS. Click the link in the description to download LiveSplit if you don't have it already. Once it's downloaded, head to the Resources tab on speedrun.com and download the any % PC splits. Once downloaded, place the file wherever you want, then you can right-click on LiveSplit and hover over Open Splits, and then click From File and find the splits you just downloaded. Once you click them, your timer will change to the TCS Any % splits that you can use for runs. Right-click the timer and hit Edit Splits. Click Activate here to turn on the load remover and the auto splitter if it's not already, then click Settings. Click Uncheck all boxes, then check the category Any %, as well as using the GOG Exe. These will be the only options selected for an any % run. If you're doing practice on an individual level, you may want to uncheck category any % and instead check category story IL as well as split on every room. To use the loadless timer, right click on your splits, hover over compare against and select game time at the bottom instead of real time. This will remove all loads from your run. Next, you'll need to make it so each time you tab out of TCS, it doesn't tab into LiveSplit. Right click on your splits and click edit layout, then click layout settings. Make sure to uncheck LiveSplit always on top. Now, every time you tab out of TCS, it'll tab into the program you were previously tabbed into before TCS. Before you start your attempts, make sure you tab into the command prompt and then tab into the game. This allows you to instantly hit enter and then the up arrow when you alt tab to reset the game, instead of having to look for the command prompt each time. From here, the technical aspect of LiveSplit is complete. Step 11 is setting up your input devices. We mostly recommend using wired controllers or some semblance of an Xbox controller. If you want to use a PlayStation PlayStation controller, a Switch Pro controller, or Joy-Cons, you may need to use the program DS4 Windows to get Windows to recognize your controller. A download link will be in the description. Once downloaded, extract the files and launch the application. Click Program Folder, then select the support you need for your specific controller. Go through the DS4 Windows setup, and once finished, go to Settings and check Hide DS4 Controller. Plug in your controller if not already, and give Windows permission. Then go to the Controllers tab and click Edit. Go to the Other tab and make sure Emulated Controller says Xbox 360. Go to the Gyro tab and make sure that all tilt controls are unassigned to disable any controller motion controls. Once that's done, click Apply and Save and you should be good to go. If you're using a Bluetooth controller, you may need some kind of Bluetooth adapter to get Windows to recognize the controller properly, as Windows 11 does have trouble recognizing Bluetooth devices. Once your inputs are good to go, open the game and load into a save file. Call in Player 2 on your desired input device, then press pause and enter control setup. From here, you can change any binds on your input devices. For a classic spider grip, we recommend leaving the controls on default for your controller, but if you do feel the need to change anything, only change the face buttons, as changing the triggers or bumpers may cause some weird issues later on. We generally recommend changing your keyboard binds to move with WASD, action with left shift, and jump with space. The other binds you can customize with whatever is comfortable for you, but runners will commonly use a combination of keys such as F, R, E, or Q for these other actions. If you want to use the right side of the keyboard, it's common to use the numpad, sort of mirroring a WASD style on the other side of the keyboard. And while this is not necessary, if you have a controller player, it can save you some time to put some placeholder keyboard binds on that same player slot. This can be useful for with whatever reason you cannot call in with your controller, you can instead call in on keyboard and instantly drop out to fix this issue instead of needing to go back into control setup. It's also worth mentioning that if you have loosely wired input devices or devices with connection issues, you may encounter what we call lag frames. Lag frames are these 3 sets of freezes that happen when any device is disconnected from your computer. While these won't lose time if they happen during a cutscene, they will lose time if they happen during a level. If you are getting a lot of lag frames, it may be worth to troubleshoot and resolve the issue in order to not lose time. The final step is pre-run setup. You'll need to queue stuff in the menu before you start attempts. For all runners, load into a file and go to video settings on your controller player. Go to refresh rate and change it to your desired refresh rate for Invasion of Naboo. If you don't know what this is yet, don't worry until you get to that level. As a beginner, you will most likely switch this to 50 Hz. Once you've switched that, scroll into the menu until you're hovering over 60 Hz, but make sure to not change into that and just unpause. It's important that you unpause from this menu and don't back out, just press the pause button again. Now, if you alt tab out of the game, when you tab back in, you will be on 60 Hz instead of 50. If you make it past Invasion, you'll have to redo this before starting attempts again. For expert runners who are doing God Fraud, you'll want to do a similar thing in control setup. Go to control setup and make sure player 2 is highlighted, then scroll down to accept and unpause. Now you should be good to go for lap 3 God Fraud. This concludes the setup. If you have any further questions, we highly recommend joining the TCS Speedrunning Discord for further help from knowledgeable and experienced runners. Now we will start the tutorial. Have fun and happy learning.